The Adventures of the Happy Flying Dwarves. Written by Jody Bazak. Illustrated by Eliza Liao. Meet the Flying Dwarf's family. Father. Father Dwarf is a very hard worker. He is always hurrying to work unless the dwarf family is on vacation. Father is devoted to his family and delights his children with wonderful stories. Mother. Mother Dwarf is a cheerful hard worker. She is empathic and has a talent for finding the right words to make her little dwarfs feel happy. At bedtime, she squeezes the children's hats to save any happiness leftovers for days when they are sad. Mama always thinks about the future. Tom. Tom tries to be like his father, but he is so clumsy that he battles to work as hard as father. Tom is sensitive and notices how the other dwarves feel. Wendy. Wendy is kind and caring. She is devoted to taking care of the dwarf family's pets. Sarah. Sarah isn't able to speak yet, but she always finds creative ways to communicate with the other dwarves. She is very independent and can look after herself. Butterfly. The butterfly always watches over the dwarf family and makes sure that they are safe and happy. The butterfly has a magical property. He can become invisible whenever he wants. Worm. The worm is the dwarf's pet. She has to be careful and watch what she eats, because sugar will cause her to melt. Luckily, Wendy always takes care of her. Once upon a time, far, far away, a family of flying dwarfs lived deep in a forest. They wore feathered hats that had magical properties. Every time the dwarves laughed, the feathers on their hats became shiny and lifted into the air. And the dwarves floated into the air too. They could do anything they wanted without any effort. But when the dwarves were sad, they floated back down to the ground, and the feathers on their hats went limp and lost their shine. It was late in the afternoon, and the weather was fine. Mother Dwarf had just finished taking the laundry off the line. Phew, she sighed as she wiped her brow in the heat. She waved goodbye to Father as he left for work, hurrying on his feet. Suddenly, Mama noticed a colorful butterfly that had just landed on the line. She smiled and whispered to him, "Tomorrow will be Father Dwarf's birthday. When I was a little girl, my mother always used to bake me a birthday cake. Today, it is my turn to bake a cake for Father. I need to put the little dwarfs to bed in a hurry so that I can go bake a cake. What a flurry! You're welcome to join me in the kitchen while I bake. When they're in bed, I'll make a cake," Mama giggled merrily. Immediately her shiny feathers lifted, and she felt herself rise into the air. She picked up her washing basket and began to sing cheerfully. "Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Father Dwarf. Happy birthday to you." Mama went into the kitchen and put a large sack of flour on the counter. She took down an enormous recipe book. "Let's see which cake I should prepare." Meanwhile, in the living room, the dwarf children heard their mother's voice. Tom had just learned to fly his toy helicopter. Wendy and Sarah were busy styling their doll's hair. Mother Dwarf walked into the living room where the children were playing. "Hurry, children! It's time to bathe and get ready for bed. I'll be waiting for you in the bathroom." The children were so busy playing with their toys but they did not hear Mama. Suddenly, Tom lost control of his helicopter and it flew straight into the kitchen. Crash! The three children ran into the kitchen in a terrible fright. The helicopter had crashed into the sack of flour. What a sight! There was flour everywhere. At first, they tried to clear it up and run, but they discovered that playing with flour was a lot more fun. They forgot all about Mama waiting for them in the bathroom. Mama had filled the bath with bubbles and rubber ducklings. She looked at her watch, surprised that the children hadn't come yet. At this rate, there will not be enough time to bake Father's birthday cake, she whispered to her butterfly friend. She left the water running and went in search of the children.